everyone, welcome to Rob's Rebellion, and today is the day. Today is the official release of Star Wars The Force Awakens Episode 7. It has been out for a couple days already due to an early UK release, and then Thursday night, the first showings here in the US, aside from the premiere. But as the official release day, today is the day. I am seeing the movie today at 7:35, and it's approximately 3 something and change, so only a few more hours to go for me before I see the movie. And I was trying to decide what I was going to review, show, talk about once this day arrived. And I thought, what better place to go than back to the original vintage action figures that started it all. And it's kind of fitting that I cannot find my Luke Skywalker or R2-D2. They are somewhere in some box. I know I have them somewhere. But it's kind of fitting because other than one little shot, we really haven't seen Luke Skywalker or R2-D2 at all in this new movie. So I'm eagerly waiting to see that moment when we see R2 and, of course, Luke Skywalker on screen and the rest of the cast of The Force Awakens. But I thought action figure-wise, it's kind of cool to see where everything came from. These are my 1977 original Star Wars Kenner action figures. I did have quite a few of them, and I think just due to the course of moving so many times that I did growing up after I got out of high school, lived with different roommates, that things got packed in a box and repacked in a box, and I had things on display. So after I started, moving so many times, I think things either got lost in the move or just got put in other boxes that I just don't remember where they are. So at least far as what we know for the movie right now, those of us that haven't seen it, this is kind of fitting with the original cast members that I have up here, of course, being Chewie, Han, C-3PO, and Leia. C-3PO is the first Star Wars action figure that I ever received. I got it on Christmas, I want to say of 77, but with the figures being short for Christmas that year, it might have been Christmas of 78, maybe. I think, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to go back and look at, Christmas pictures, but their stamps say 77, so I want to say I got these C-3PO on the Christmas of 1977, along with Luke Skywalker and along with Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Ben Kenobi as he was then to us. But then, of course, after a while, I think the next figure I got for my birthday in February was definitely Princess Leia, Han Solo, and Chewbacca. This is actually the second Han Solo that I had. The first one, I can't find him anywhere. He had a really large head. Later on, I referred to him as Melanoma Head Han Solo, just because his head was so huge. And funny story, I used that Han Solo, and then, I used this Han Solo as my Dick Grayson, and then The Empire Strikes Back, that's in the tan pants and blue jacket, as my Bruce Wayne. Once, Star Wars kind of died down, then I was heavily into Batman. I didn't have a Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne, so I used some of my Star Wars figures. I had her as my Barbara Gordon. I'll get her in camera here in a little bit. You can see some blue that I cut out a piece of paper and used a Crayola marker and colored it blue, and some of it bled onto her. And I found an old pair of jeans, I cut them up, tried to make a Batgirl costume for this Princess Leia here. But something that I hear people say about the vintage figures, you can tell when a figure was loved with and played with, because you can see the wear and tear of Han Solo here. Let me get the others out of frame, as they are really kind of distracting from Han here. Matter of fact, we'll just even go backgroundless, so the camera's not trying to focus on too many different things. But you can see just the paint chips and the hair on this figure. I loved this pose. Long gone are all the accessories for these guys. I don't know where his blaster is. After a while, I thought this was kind of his beer hand, which I thought was kind of odd, to be able to have the gun in his hand, and he couldn't ever point it straight out. The only straight hand he had is this one, and it's more of like, Hail Hydra! So, but, and all kidding aside, I just love these figures. The amount of hours that I spent playing with these figures. The red stripe is actually still pretty good on his leg. And we can kind of see the marking there in 1977. So I believe it was the Christmas of 97. I think it was more of the mail order Star Wars set where you got like all of them was hard. But as far as individual figures, I'm almost positive I got mine in 77. But yeah, just these figures are great. You know, old classic action figure articulation. The head still turns. Arm all the way around. Arm all the way around. Leg, both legs up. You know, that's it. That's action figure articulation for 1977. And not many loose joints on this guy. We'll get to one that's really loose here, which I think I probably showed before. We will show Chewbacca here. Chewbacca over the years has started to change in color. You could see the brown on him, but the arms and his legs look more of a brownish green. He almost looks like Groot in color. But his strap off to the side, the bandolier, is still very well painted. Chewbacca's face, that grittiness you could see there is sand. My dad played fast pitch softball, and I took my Star Wars figures to the ball diamond every time that he played, and with one of my other best friends, Chip DeVelvis, if you're out there watching this. This is the Chewbacca that you and I played back and forth with. He still has the sand from all those years of playing in the sand pit together. So they would have to stop us from playing so they could grab more sand to put on the ball diamond. For the next game, we would just pick up our toys and move off to the side. Again, still fairly well painted for 1977. Chewbacca's articulation, I mean, all these are exactly the same, but he doesn't have many loose joint anythings. This one leg is a little loose, but, you know, he can stand on this carpeted table pretty well. A little bit, okay, I'm going to lie. It's the table's fault. He can stand. I have him kind of hunched over a little bit. Princess Leia. Remember asking for Princess Leia on my birthday and Mom going, why do you want a girl action figure? Like there was something wrong that I wanted a girl action figure. I'm like, it's Princess Leia. I have Luke Skywalker, and I want Princess Leia to go with Luke Skywalker. You know, I didn't know back then they were brother and sister. This is where you, whoops, let's get back in here, where you can see some of the blue that just kind of bled over into Princess Leia. And that was from making her Barbara Gordon at one time. There's some of the blue right there. So, kind of see. Again, this is a figure I just played with. And gone is the plastic, you know, cape that went around the arm and everything. You know, somebody out there going, man, if you still had these men on card. If I had these still men on card, I wouldn't have had all the adventures playing with them in the sandbox or in my bedroom or underneath my bed is where I played a lot. That was my Death Star. And there's her product information. 1977, made in Hong Kong. There's her blue butt. You could kind of see where the cape was, where I would have the paper cape down. I just used Crayola markers to color on the cape, not thinking it was going to bleed into the figure. Her hair is a little worn. Just so many good memories with my Star Wars figures. And the one that means a lot to me, this was actually the first figure I opened up, was C-3PO. Knowing that if I had C-3PO, please tell me Mom and Dad got me R2-D2. And then I got, the next one I opened up was R2-D2, and I thought, or excuse me, was Luke Skywalker, because I got R2 on my birthday. Then I thought, so I opened them up, C-3PO, Ben, and then Luke was the last. I did that on purpose. And I was just over the moon with those figures. C-3PO has loose everything syndrome. Once I realized he had loose everything syndrome, he was really hard to stand, and that's how he ended up breaking his hand here. he fell from a really tall shelf and all the way to the ground, and that's when I started realizing the C-3PO is not going to be able to stand. Now, for as much as I played with 3PO as he's out of frame here, his paint is still excellent, like very close to factory release. You can see some paint chips there, but it's really the first time I've really had him this close to camera. But I've seen some, I mean, I've got some blemishes, obviously, on the figure. But for the most part, he is in almost the same condition he was the day that he was bought. I was always really careful with C-3PO. And I didn't play with him in the sand very much at all. I washed this figure a lot, which maybe kind of went into why he is so loose, maybe. But just great memories with these figures. And at one time I thought about parting with all of this stuff. And I thought, you know what, this is part of my childhood. This is, as they say, this is the stuff of hopes and dreams and legends. And I think that's why this movie for me tonight, I don't know entirely how I'm going to feel when it starts, when it's over. It's a place in my childhood that I can't describe. As much as people have been watching Rob's Rogues over the last 3 or 4 years now, and everybody knowing that I'm a huge Robin fan and DC and everything like that, Star Wars had its own place for me. It was that special thing. I could find people that were superhero fans, but to find somebody that was a true Star Wars fan that got it, not just my friends that I have that, hey, I saw a new Star Wars movie, and it's gone and done with them, over the course of the weekend. Star Wars was something that stayed with me. I read books and comic books and magazines. I clipped newspaper articles. I had my own galactic battles in my bedroom. Sure, I was doing the same thing with, Batman, Superman, Robin, Wonder Woman, and all that stuff. But my mind would drift in school about Star Wars and the fantasy faraway land of a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. That just sends chills down my spine, and hearing the fanfare and getting to see the first 3 Star Wars movies in theaters and being in the drive-in for A New Hope, and Tron was the double feature. So it was Tron, then Star Wars. It just resonated to a place with me that I can't quite describe what Star Wars did for me growing up. It was the learning tool that my first grade teacher used with me, and my affinity for Star Wars and my knowledge for Star Wars at times when math was hard or whatever those things were. She would ask to tell me about Star Wars, and what I could remember verbatim, every line of every frame of A New Hope. And then she was like, okay, well, math is just like that. And he equated to, well, how fast do you think the X-Wing flies? And me to give some crazy, number, like it was 500 miles an hour, so she would look at a math problem and try and work it that way. And that kind of captivated me to learn and want to know. She's like, well, this is about the space program, and here's a space shuttle that's getting ready to launch, and this could be the first steps to, going into outer space. Maybe this is your gateway in. Just that whole wonderment of Star Wars and telling this simple tale of a boy longing and yearning for something greater, that he knows he's on the path for his path is towards a great destiny. He just needs that little push. And I feel like Star Wars, for a lot of us, was that thing that allowed us to dream. And those of us that have come along, midway through the journey of the Star Wars saga, or have been there from the beginning, I think if you're somebody, once you see that first movie and you instantly get it like that, you understand. When you see somebody with a Star Wars t-shirt on, or when you see somebody my age in his 40s buying a Star Wars action figure, you kind of go, I bet that's for his son. Or you go, maybe it's for himself. Maybe it's for him and his son. And there's that little nod amongst some of us real collectors of Star Wars that you just get it. I could go on here just talking about my love for Star Wars, but hopefully you're kind of seeing that through these figures. I just kind of wanted to get that out there and put it out into the ethos, as it were, of in a few hours I'll be going to see a Star Wars movie that I didn't know we were going to get 3 years ago. 4 years ago, there was probably not a single person on the planet, well, aside from people maybe behind the scenes, that ever thought we were going to get a Star Wars movie or anything. So I've been saying it for the last few reviews. Let people have that moment that have waited so long to see this movie. Don't ruin it. Don't spoil it. I know there's a whole sect of people out there that are upset, and it's their job and their goal to try to spoil this movie because the expanded universe is gone. Yeah, I know. I was a fan of the expanded universe, and I'm sad to see that stuff no longer in canon. But you know what? There's part of me that is kind of glad that that stuff's not there, because I have read all of that stuff. I've played the video games. I've, watched as much stuff on the expanded universe as I could. I don't want to sit there in this new movie and go, oh, there's Mara Jade. Oh, that's this. That's that. It's a totally new universe, and knowing that the blueprint that George Lucas put down, they either followed it in whole, in part, or in some. But from what I'm hearing, this feels like Star Wars. As much as I've said that I enjoyed the prequels, and yes, I know that there are glaring problems with them, at the end of the day, it's still telling a Star Wars story that I very much love. But there was that part of the prequels that it was Star Wars, but it didn't quite feel like Star Wars. From what I'm hearing in this movie, it is and feels like a Star Wars movie, like right after 1983. I've been hearing people say this is the greatest Star Wars movie since 1983. So I cannot wait. I've tried to keep my expectations in check for a while, and now it's just kind of like, let's go on the journey. Just like Han and Chewie said in the trailer, Chewie, we're home. Thanks for watching these last couple weeks of Star Wars reviews that I've put up every single day. To everybody out there, some new subscribers that have come on, thank you very much. I'm going to get back into the superhero stuff. I've got plenty of stuff that I'm going to try and squeeze in before the end of the year. And don't worry, this is not the end of my Star Wars reviews. I still have another Black Series figure yet to review, and I just bought another one today. And plus, I have so many old Star Wars figures to go through. Old vehicles, old Powers of the Force stuff, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, and Star Wars The Force Awakens. I cannot wait. I know many of you are going to go out there and see it. It's going to be fun to talk to everybody about it once the movie's out. Let's just give everybody till the weekend, and then we're just going to talk about this thing and talk about how many more times we're going to go see it. Thanks for watching my countdown to Star Wars The Force Awakens. I've got a few hours left. We'll see you guys later. Thank you. Bye. May the Force be with you.